want you guys to give a round of applause for Anna Clifford. Bunch of rides I'm looking at. How are we doing? Guys, I'm very excited to have you here, right? Because this is the last show of my tour and I'm filming it, so we are celebrating, okay? Yeah? So we're having a drink, yeah? Okay, good. Has anyone been day drinking, or is it more like after work? After work, right, so there's no other comedians in the room then, isn't it? Just me. Good to know, good to know. I do like a drink myself, right, and we have this great rule in my family, and it's no drinking before 12. But once you're finished primary school, you can do what you want, so... That's a bit about me straight away. I was off the tit and on the bottle. And I am going to tell you a lot more about my life over the next hour. Quite a unique story, actually. But before I get started, I just kind of like to see where everyone's from. So if you're Irish, give me a cheer. Okay, lovely. And if you're from anywhere more exotic than Ireland, give me a cheer. Said it with mild confidence. Where are you from? Canada. Canada! Oh, hey, bud. How are you doing? Okay, and how long have you been in Ireland, Canada?
A year.
I could ask your name, but I like Canada. You represent the whole of Canada now, okay? No pressure. So you've been here for a year, so I like to do a little test, right? Because I've called my show I See Deadly People. And that is because deadly has a different meaning here in Ireland. Do you know the Irish meaning of the word deadly?
I think it means awesome.
Yes! Oh my god, I like that one. Awesome. Isn't that good? Yes. Deadly means good, awesome, cool, brilliant. It's not to be confused with maybe, you know, the American meaning of the word deadly, which is like automatic rifles, abortion laws, UFOs. Have you read those stories recently about UFO sightings in the States? Oh my god, I love those ones so much. It really fascinates me, right? Because imagine the Americans being terrified and being like, oh my god, is that a UFO? We don't know where they're coming from. Or their kind, they could be deadly. And you know, an Irish person, if they seen a UFO, they'd be like, is that a UFO? Deadly! Oh my god, where are you coming from, man? Love the third eye, class! Let's get pints. So I love it's like the same language, but different language, because like we took on the English language a long time ago, but we made sure to change all the words just to really confuse them. And I love that because I was living in London for a while and I would say brutal quite a lot. Brutal. And I love that brutal has a different meaning here in Ireland. If you read that 3 men in Dublin were brutally murdered, that just means that someone did an awful job at it. That's shy. Could have done better myself. My favourite one maybe is Scarlet. Have you heard Scarlet? No, okay, so Scarlet is a good one. Maybe it has a great phrase, right? So there's this great phrase and it's Scarlet for your ma, for having you. And that just means that genuinely my mum is absolutely mortified when I wear ripped jeans because they remind her of the condom the night I was conceived. So everything is triggering these days, isn't it? Absolutely everything. I'm putting a massive trigger warning on this show. But there you go, Canada. A little Irish test for you. It's a beautiful musical language. Sláinte, everyone. It's addictive, isn't it? So, what do we think of my walk-on music? It's relaxing, isn't it? Yeah. Not if you've ever gone for a wax. And that's what this show is about. Getting the rug pulled from you. Without wax. That music they play while getting a wax, right? It never matches up to the experience, does it? I'm like, give me some slip knot while you're clearing the slip way, please. For reference, lads, right? You never see a bodybuilder about to deadlift 140 kilograms just listening to whale sounds. So why am I always getting birds singing when my box is doing the heavy lifting? And the beautician, right? The beautician, she always puts her hand over it straight away. Doesn't she? She always puts her hand over it straight away. Like she's trying to distract me. And I'm like, no. I'm very aware of what has just happened. It's like she's trying to protect me from myself. And I'm like, I've seen it. It's stunning. And that little hand, it always thinks it's protecting a lot. Because that's the same kind of hand that my parents used to put over my eyes when a sex scene came on. And I'd be like, I'm 32. But when I was younger, it really frustrated me, right? Because it was always a second too late, right? So I'd see something, I'd be like, ah. I know there are naked people there. Just please, tell me what they're doing. My dad, man, a few words. One day he just goes, dancing. And that's why I always thought Brokeback Mountain was a musical. My parents protected me far too much as a child, right? They really did. They protected me far too much. I think they could have been a bit more honest with me growing up. And I probably wouldn't have to be standing here in front of you all today. I'd be in sales. Because when I was younger, right, I had so many questions about life. So many questions about life. And now I have a question for you here, right? And don't be scared because there's literally no right answer to it. But would you consider yourself to be religious, spiritual, or nothing?
Spiritual.
Spiritual, okay. I'm the same. What's your favourite kind of spirit? Which one do you blame everything on? My favourite is vodka. Yeah. That's what I blame on everything on. Vodka and then the moon. Vodka first and then the moon. But I had so many questions about life growing up, right? Because in the village where I'm from in Dublin, back in the 90s, Ireland was still a very Catholic country. And my family back then was one of the only families in our village that didn't go to church. And because of this, I really wanted to go. I really wanted to go. I felt like I was missing out on something. Oh my God, they were all dressed so nice. And I'd be watching all the families go down to church every Sunday. And I'd turn to my brother and I'd be like, I hear they can eat bread and not feel guilty about it. Because that's something I inherited from my mother at a very young age. It is kind of weird that I really wanted to go to church when I was younger, but looking back now, the mass is always greener, isn't it? It is. That's because Father Welsh liked a bit of grass, stains on the boys' knees. He did. I mean, he did, though. So at the age of 7, I had loads of questions, so I decided to walk up to my dad, and I was like, Dad, tell me honestly, is God real? What happens when you die? And what's the deal with Santa? Easy stuff. And my Irish dad, who lost his faith quite young, he did try, and he just goes, God. There's loads of them. That's the problem. It's a multiple choice question, right? Because one person's God is Buddha, and the other person's God is Krishna, and the other person's God is the Beatles. And your ma called me a saint the other day for putting down the toilet, see? And humans, we're just these big balls, right? We're just these big balls of energy. And when you die, which you will, you're going to leave that body and you're going to become an energy ball forever. And Santa, he's an awful annoying prick, Anna, and your generation will actually call him Amazon Prime. My dad did have me convinced when I was younger that Nicholas wasn't Santa's first name, it was actually Argos. But the thing that terrified me most about that conversation was, right, at the age of 7, my dad told me that when I die, I was going to become an energy ball. Because to me at that time, that was a snack. And a gross one, to be fair. I was like, that's what the meaning of all this is? I'm coming back as one of those? Like, if we're coming back as food, can I not be a baguette? You know when you cut up a baguette, those crumbs go everywhere and you never see them again. You leave your mark in this world. But I mean, it makes sense why those things cost $4.95 in an organic coffee shop, if it is someone's soul. But I always knew something was up with Santa, right? I always knew something was up with Santa because I never quite got what I asked for off Santa. And I now realise that I got the pound shop version of what I asked for. Okay, because one year I really wanted a Barbie, and I got a Barbara. And another year I really wanted those Polly Pockets, and I got a Lolly Locket. And another year I really wanted those Sylvanian families, and what I ended up getting was a Romanian couple who moved in next door. Santa. But my dad, right, giving me his own energy ball analogy in that situation, thinking he'd do less harm to me than just telling me he doesn't know. And I know each generation loves to shame the past for its own parenting style, you know, but my dad could have really benefited by acting like his own dad in that situation and just went, fuck off, Anna. Be the kid. And that could be the whole show. That could be the whole show, but we'll get into it a bit more. I got really into the childhood stuff there real quick, didn't I? Yeah, that's like me on a first date. What time were you born? Nothing like asking your date to text their mum to remind her of the most traumatic day of her life to make sure that new relationship is a stillbirth. You never hear from them again. I should probably introduce myself properly. I probably should, because I'm very aware, right, that I have not yet made a name for myself in comedy. And that's probably just because I've been far too busy. Yeah, I've been far too busy finding a fella whose surname goes really well with mine. That tells you exactly the kind of woman I am. Lonely. I'm a hopeless romantic, right? I really am. I'm a hopeless romantic. And my friend, recently, she's just started dating someone and she's never been in love before. And she turned to me and she was like, Anna, how did you know when you were in love? And I was like, God, for me, it was when I could smell his back tooth rotting. And I would still let him go down on me, then kiss me after. Then I knew I was fucked. I was fucked. I once stayed with someone for far too long, right, just because our names sounded good together. And because I was AC and he was DC. So, together we were AC/DC. Thank you so much. Ironically, there was no spark. It's no longer my current relationship. He shook me all night long, but not in a good way, like he was a British babysitter. AC/DC. Don't say with someone just because your names sound good together, because that is a highway to hell. Yes! If there are any Gen Zs in the room, they will not get that, but they will definitely have a band t-shirt, because that's just a circle of life. Oh, I'm tired though. I'm fed up. I really am, right? Because I'm 32 now, so I'm at the age where I realise I no longer want to marry for love. No. I want to marry for something that lasts a bit longer than that. Like TT bought in Turkey or a mortgage. Bricks over bricks. That's what I'm saying this year. Bricks over bricks. You can have that one. Even though I can't afford one single brick in Dublin. Oh my God, there's so many crises in this country, myself included. I don't think it's very popular to say that you want to marry for money, is it? These days? It's not very, you can't say that anymore, can you? Like back in the 90s. God, back in the 90s, that was a sweet spot for everything, wasn't it? Like back in the 90s, if I wanted to marry for money, all I had to do was like find myself a 90-year-old, sit in his lap like once, ruin his relationship with his kids, and I was quids in. But now, thanks to the advancement of like medical science and Viagra, if I want to find myself a sugar paddy, I'm really going to have to earn that money, aren't I? I'm going to have to put in a shift. And I don't think I'm willing to do that. I am far too lazy. I woke up just before this gig, and that's definitely his bedtime, isn't it? Does everyone know what a sugar daddy is? Yeah. Oh, yeah, happy for you. Happy for you, girl, get it. You know, it's a man of international wealth, might take you out for dinner, buy you a handbag, send you checks for emptying a load of washing. But a sugar paddy is just an old Irish man in a pub who hands you 20 quid and says, get me a pint and whatever you're having yourself. And your hair's lovely. And that's all I'm looking for. That's all I'm looking for. Just a man who still carries cash. I want my kids to know what it feels like to rob change from their dad's pockets. So sad. By the time I get to have kids, Freddos are going to cost £5. It's not fair. It's not fair. Oh, so that's what I'm looking for now, just a rich man. That's my actual type on paper, because they have paper. And I need that because I'm broke. Comedy's not going that well, you know what I mean? That's one of my problems in life. And I think we can blame all the problems that we're having currently in life on something that happened to us in the past. Would you agree? Yeah. Okay, 3 people have done therapy. And I do. I blame all my problems on the fact that I never got to marry the man that I wanted to. Because he's my dad and we're not the royal family. And I found growing up really hard. I did. I found growing up really hard in my teens and my 20s, like really mentally challenging. But nothing unique, though. All common struggles that can be found in Pink's 2001 album, Misunderstood. All in that. And I'm a bit of a self-confessed mess. I'm that friend in the friends group who was always falling all over the place. But one year for me, everything finally fell into place. And that was at the age of 29 in January 2020. It was a good month, to be fair. That was a good month. And why had everything finally clicked for me? I was living over in London with a career on the rise. I got back together with my boyfriend, right? We dated briefly when we were younger and now we were back together. Now, he did live in Dublin, but with a cheap Ryanair flight and a baggage allowance that was so small I couldn't pack any underwear. Things were exciting. And I was getting along with my family for once. Why was I getting along with my mum and dad for once? Because we lived in a different country to each other. That is key. My mum thinks I'm doing so well in life when she can't physically see how many mugs I keep in my bedroom. And I'm always looking for signs and meanings of things, and I think a few practices I was putting in place that year were really working for me, right? Because that year I was holding on to crystals. Does anyone else like to hold on to crystals? No. Don't leave me hanging. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Me and you and the rest of you are smart. Okay. I mean, the Catholic Church must know that it's fucked up in some way if I put more trust and solace and confidence in these vajazzled pebbles. But looking back that year, I probably put a bit too much trust because you know where your car insurance disc could go? I just put a smoky quartz. I was like, the universe has got me. I'm a bit witchy-woo as well. Is anyone a bit witchy-woo? Yeah, one witch up the front. Love it. No, I'm into that sort of thing, right? Like, I like incense instead of going to therapy. I'm a woman in my 30s now, so a candle is never very far from me. Smelling of, like, fig and Malbec. That's not the original scent. I just mistook it for a glass one evening. And I'm fascinated by witches. I'm fascinated by witches. I really am. And I think they had a bit of a hard time back in the day, didn't they? Yeah. Yeah, they did. Thank you. Yeah. It's getting burnt alive. It's a hard time. Right? Because back in the day, to me, witches just sounded like women. Women that were so sick of men, they wanted to go into the forest and be on their own and get drunk on their homemade brews. And tell me this now, do you think that they were flying on those broomsticks or riding them? And then the men. No, the men. They were like, all those women that rejected me. Oh yeah, they're obviously all really ugly and they have warts and big noses and humpbacks. And I think we should just burn them. Witches are just over there tripping balls. We just need to leave them alone. I was journaling a lot that year as well. Does anyone like to journal? Okay, a few more witches. You're coming out now. You're coming out now. I was journaling a lot that year, and I was telling everyone else. I was like, get a journal. Just get a journal. It's like, just write it down. Because everything that I was writing down that year was coming true for me. Like today's date. I was like, right. Magic. So you get the picture, right? I thought 2020 was gonna be my year. And looking back, how dare I? How dare I? I was gonna take a whole year to myself. That's like when people try and take a birthday month. Do you know these people? And they're like, it's my birthday month. I'm like, what? Pride only gets a weekend. How come you get a month? No. It's my birthday month. I'm like, oh, so your birth took a whole month? Then your mom is the hero. Let's get her a bottle of Prosecco and tickets to Magic Mike. You get a month if you've been repressed and need to share your history, not because it's Leo season. So everything was working out for me that year. Everything had finally clicked. The fella, the career, the family. But I still had so many questions. So many questions about who am I? What am I doing here? Why there's so much pain, destruction, cryptocurrencies in the world, things like that. And I still had some self-improvements that I wanted to do that year, because we're always trying to do some self-improvements, aren't we? Every single day we do something that we think is going to improve our lives, because nobody actually likes to go for a run. Do they? Like, I'm a wild sea swimmer, okay? And I don't do that because I love the cold. I do that to make you feel bad about yourself when I post it on Instagram. I need something. I wanted to make some self-improvements that year, but I felt like I have read every self-help book there is, okay? I need to read a self-help book on how to stop reading self-help books. And if you've read them as well, they're all the exact same message. It's like the power of now, be here now, now's your chance, now you've fucked it, now look at you. All the exact same message, isn't it? All the exact same message. It's like, live in the present moment. It's so easy. But when you have a Google calendar full of future commitments and a filing cabinet in your brain full of failed commitments, it's kind of hard. But I was committed to making a few changes that year. And what do you do when you commit to a self-healing journey? You post it online. And that's what I did. I was like, this year is a year of self-healing and forgiveness. Job done. Oh my God. It's so easy these days, isn't it? Healed how my auntie healed her divorce. A Facebook post and a couple of, you okay, Hans? My friend called me out on it straight away, right? She seen it and she was like, Anna, I don't know if you're being serious about this, but I'm on the same kind of journey and I've signed myself up for a wellness retreat and I really think you should do it with me. If she was upper class, she would have said rehab and working class a holiday. And I was like, what sort of wellness retreat? And she goes, you would have to come home to Ireland for 4 days, turn off your phone, it's a full digital detox as we go into the countryside, and for 4 days you eat vegan food, you do yoga, you're not allowed to have any sex, absolutely no alcohol, it's like a full body cleanse. Now, I don't know about you, but when I hear a white woman say detox and cleanse in the same sentence, I think it's a pyramid scheme to try and sell me laxatives. So I clenched my arse. I was like, I don't know. Do you know, like this year I'm just so busy. I really am. I don't know if I have time to come back to Dublin. And anytime I come home to Dublin these days, I just really want to spend it with my boyfriend. And then she goes, you didn't let me finish. Every night we drink ayahuasca guided by a shaman. And I was like, yeah, sign me up. I am there. I'm actually at the airport. Be there very soon. For anyone who doesn't know what ayahuasca is, right? Ayahuasca is a medicine from the rainforest in Peru. And it's made up of 2 plants. And the locals have been mixing this together for centuries and drinking it in ceremonial practices that allows them to reach other dimensions through hallucinations, guided by a shaman over 8 hours. Does that sound nice? Yeah? Has anyone ever done it? Yes. How was your experience?
It was so
Oh my God.
It was different.
Hashtag sponsored. Sponsored by the rainforest. Okay, wait, you're going to do a better job at promoting it than me. I love that. So here's the thing, right? On an 8-hour flight to New York, you can watch 4.5 movies. On an 8-hour flight to your inner consciousness, you can watch yourself be born. Well, I didn't get to see my whole birth because it did take a lot longer than that, but I now understand why my mum called me an ungrateful bitch in 2006. I think it was the 3rd stitch going in. A 4-day retreat in March 2020. Did I have the time to commit to this? I checked my packed calendar for the year, and then I checked the filing cabinet in my brain, and I was like, oh, you really need to go. And the dates matched up perfectly, right? Because I would go on this retreat, and then I would come back to Dublin on St. Patrick's Day. And that's my favourite day of the whole year. I love St. Patrick's Day. Canada, you probably know it as well. Like, no matter where you are, all over the world, St. Patrick's Day is a day where an Irish person can set fire to your house, and if you don't find it funny, you're the boring one. Why do you love us? And I told my colleague in London that I was going home to do Ayahuasca. And she goes, ooh, I thought I knew all the Irish names. Enjoy your naughty weekend. And here's the thing. Naughty weekend. In Peru, this is legal. In Ireland, it's a bit of a grey area. But it was actually lovely and green where we went to do it. And on the 12th of March, 2020, I turned off my phone, handed it over to a shaman, and went into the forest with my best friend and a load of strangers to drink medicine from Mother Nature. I was living my witch's dream. Because the only difference between a witch's coven and a wellness retreat is sexism. Me and my friend were the first people to get down there, so we were greeted by the Airbnb host, right? And he was like, what has yous here? And I go, yoga retreat. And he was like, is that right? It's just that every year, for the past 3 years, in this tiny village, there's been a murder. Mystery weekend. It's funny what people are into, isn't it? And then the shaman just appeared. Do we all know what a shaman is? Yeah, priest without the allegations. Best kind, best kind. And he walked in, and you know what? I was a bit annoyed because he just looked like a regular bloke. He just looked like any old lad, you know what I mean? I was like, what? I don't know what I was expecting. I think I wanted someone a bit more natural, but his jumper was definitely from Penny's. Do you know what I mean? I was like, man, your hemp to cloth ratio is all off for me. I think I wanted someone who walked in dressed like a wizard. That's what I was kind of expecting. Someone dressed as Gandalf to just walk in and be like, thou shall not shit themselves. Because that is one of the side effects on the leaf. Did you not? That's why you're still sponsoring it. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. It probably would have been really weird if he did walk in as a wizard. I would have been like, is this a wellness retreat or a hen party? Let's go. The shaman welcomed us all there. He got us all in a circle and he was like, welcome everyone. It's now time to heal and forgive. And I was like, yes. And he was like, and compliment ourselves. And I was like, fuck no. What? That wasn't part of my journey. I didn't sign up for that. That wasn't on the non-existent brochure. Hello? What? Compliment ourselves. Take a compliment. We can't do that, can we? Irish women? No. Oh my God, no. We can definitely not do that. If you've ever seen an Irish woman try to accept a compliment, it's the same if you've ever seen someone who's absolutely terrified of bees. Try and be really cool around a bee. Because a compliment bee comes your way. Your hair's lovely. Thank you. Why does it sting? Why does it sting? But it does sting. And I was like, okay, this is great. Now I know why I'm here. It's part of my journey. I need to get better at accepting compliments. I really do. And when I think about it, ladies, we all do, because we've put the fucking work in, do you know? No one wakes up looking like that. It's a full-time full-time job at the end of the day, isn't it? Trying to make yourself look good. I realised I started my apprenticeship in trying to make myself look more appealing at the age of 12 because I got the scaffolding first of all. I did far too much paintwork at the start. The landscaping for me has to be done every half a day. And the Kardashians became popular when I was 15, so if I wanted to apply for an extension out the back, I was still going to have to ask my mum and dad for planning permission. Denied. Still, if someone wants to give me a compliment, I have to pretend like I haven't spent thousands of euros in renovations over the years. And just be like, thanks, it's nothing. I was like, okay, this is good. I know why I'm down here. This is excellent. This is brilliant. And the next thing the shaman got us to do, he got us to write down our intentions. Right, you got everyone to write down their intentions. What do they want to get out of the experience? What do they want to get out of the trip, out of your hallucinations? And the first thing I wrote down was more self-love. Now, there's a sentence you can't say legally sober in Ireland. Drunk, no problem. Drunk, you can be like, I love you. And I actually think I'm all right as well. But say that sober around your family, and they're like, oh, she's at it again. She's had cherry for breakfast, not even Christmas. And then for some reason I kind of panicked because I thought this journey of self-discovery would be like a primary school class and we might have to read these intentions aloud to the group. So the next one I just wrote down really quickly was like, more love for other people as well. And the last one I put down was, make it out of this place alive. The ceremony started and the shaman started to play that fanny waxy music that I played for you at the start. And I do love fanny waxy music, meditation music, you know, because it does really kind of remind me of being back in the womb. And maybe that's why they play it when you get your fanny waxed. Because flaps are the doorway to life. And no matter what kind of start you have, things can always get a bit hairy, can't they? It's just natural. The shaman invited us up to drink this medicine from Mother Nature. And honestly, it tasted like... I don't think there's any words. There's no words. What did you think? You loved it, didn't you? You're like, oh my God, I'm getting paid to be here.
Purple battery acid.
Purple battery acid?
Herbal.
Oh, a herbal. God, now I don't know what I'd say about that. As it was going down my throat, I was thinking, no, this has to be really good for you. You know what I mean? Like, it just has to. And then I went back down and I sat on my yoga mat and I was ready to watch everyone else, apparently. Oh my God, I couldn't stop staring at everyone else, right? And this is the thing, you're meant to get in your own zone, in your own trip, but I could not stop staring at everyone else because this was meant to be 8 years of therapy for some people in one night. You think I was missing that? No way! It obviously hit a woman over there, like, first of all, she got really into it. She was like, ah, ah, ah. And I was like, oh. Who hurt you? It's like if you've ever been in a car with a friend and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they get so into a Beyonce lyric. You're like, oh. Who hurt you? And then there was a woman over here, right, and she was in her 50s and she got up from her yoga mat and you're not allowed to leave your mat. And I was like, oh. And then she just starts walking and walking and then she hit the deck. I mean, she dropped quicker than a pill at an EDM concert. I was like, oh my God. This is it. This is it. You are finally in every scary movie that you feared as a child. Yeah, think about it. You handed over your phone and went into the forest with a load of strangers. You told your mum and dad at the age of 29 that you were going to a yoga retreat. And now a woman is dead. The police are gonna come and you're high as fuck. Oh, this is so cool, Anna. This is so cool. You are so cool. This kind of reminds me of the time that you lied to your mum and dad at the age of 13 that you were going to a sleepover, but you were getting fingered in a field. I knew I could go to a bad place with this, so I had to turn over and just start thinking of good things. And I was like, oh, fingered in a field. Bring that back. But I was like, she'll be okay. I know she will. There's something that's happened here. There's obviously been there's a reasonable explanation to what's happened. There's obviously been a big mix-up, and I think there's been a big mix-up between my wellness retreat and a murder mystery weekend. And those are two things that just should never mix. You know, really high people and very bad actors. And afterwards, the woman was in the kitchen and she was fine. I was like, yeah, all right. She was like, yeah, I just took a knockout and took a lesson from Mother Nature. And I was like, okay, sound. Because this is the thing, right? After every trip, after every hallucination, you were meant to try and figure out what lesson was Mother Nature trying to teach you in that experience. So that's why I kind of had a bit of a hard time trying to figure out what my lesson was over the 4 days. Because every time I closed my eyes when I wasn't watching people in their therapy sessions, every time I closed my eyes, all I saw was naked people dancing. And not broke back dancing, more like broke back dancing. It was just a lot of that. You know that move? It was just a load of that, right? It was just kind of like all that for ages, right? Just loads of that in the most beautiful, hallucinogenic colours. But honestly, only that, right? Every time I close my eyes, all that, just that. There you go, there it is. And I was like, okay. Is this all I'm seeing? It was deadly what I was seeing, but I was like, what does it mean? Like, maybe I actually have absolutely nothing to work through, you know? It was like that. It was like class experience, but it wasn't even tits or bits. It was all ass, okay? And I loved it. I did. I was like, this is brilliant. I really enjoyed it until I realised what everyone else was experiencing. Because everyone shares their experience at the end, and the first guy got up and he was like, 8-hour conversation with God. What? It's like, yeah, 8-hour conversation with God. First of all, you drank the medicine and Mother Nature was there and she was like, your dad wants to speak to you. And he went and talked to his dad and his dad was God. And God was like, you just need to relax, man. You're grand. You got that? That is so unfair. Then my friend went next and she was like, wow. That was so powerful. Krishna pulled me up by my ponytail and showed me my path in life. Sorry? You got that? You got that? I've only ever once been pulled up by the ponytail, and that was to get my head out of the toilet. And sure, I felt lighter, but not enlightened. I was like, oh my God. And then the shaman was like, this is really great work, guys. This is really great work. This is exactly what we're here to do. Now, Anna, you go. I was like, yeah. Oh, God. It was just actually same as the lads. It was same as the lads. They're obviously all wearing clothes, for God's sake. But I did want to know what my experience meant, so I pulled the guy aside afterwards and I was like, here, man. I actually only seen naked arses. And he was like, really? No one has ever admitted that. And that really annoyed me. He said admitted, like no one actually ever said it out loud. I was like, everyone's seeing naked arses. I know you, sir. And that did piss me off because I feel like there's still so much shame around nudity. It really is. And I like, we feel when our bits are in a forest, they feel natural. Do you know what I mean? But in a bedroom, they feel shameful. And that kind of annoys me because I do love being nude. And on the very rare occasion that I get to be on a nudist beach and my tits are in my armpits, I feel free. But put up a few walls and call it a school, it's shame on you. It's not fair. It's not fair. And my friends, they love that part of the story. They love that they were like, Anna went on a self-healing journey and all she saw was porn. But that's not the case. There's a big difference, you know, me stepping out of the shower, naked person. Me stepping out of the shower and my stepbrother's holding a GoPro. Sundays. But I loved hearing everyone else's experiences, and I loved that this one guy separated Mother Nature and God into our mum and dad. I think that's really incredible. I've never thought about that, right? Because Mother Nature, she's our ma. She provides for us, gives us food, gives us shelter. And God is our da. And has anyone ever seen him? Is he around? Will he show up at the very end and take credit for everything? He loved his firstborn son and that was it. And I've been so worried my whole life thinking, what happens to us after we die? I've never even thought about how the hell did we actually all end up here in the first place? And now I'm just imagining God walking up to Mother Nature and being like, boom. And Mother Nature's like, what was that? And he's like, immaculate conception, just like I did with Mary. When I think about it, right, God must have had some seriously blue balls, okay? Because he never actually ejaculated. Is that why they call it immaculate? Because he never once needed to get a towel. And I went to this Catholic secondary school, right? And in this Catholic secondary school, they were always warning us about the dangers of teenage pregnancy and getting pregnant as a teen. And in this Catholic secondary school, it wasn't just ejaculation that could get you pregnant, right? You could also get pregnant by the pre-cum. 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 They put the fear of God into us about pre-cum. And if they believed in immaculate conception, would they not have warned us about that? I was so terrified of pre-cum when I was younger. It was a big deal, right? You'd be huddled around with the girls and I'd be like, girls, I now know what my boyfriend's cum face looks like. But does anyone know what a pre-cum face looks like? Just trying to spot it like, is that it? Jesus, what was that? That had to be it. That's a joke, obviously, because no one ever looks at their partner for that long. That was it. I spent 4 days lying on that yoga mat, and I really had a really great experience, and I was trying to make sense of everything, and I love learning lessons, so I was learning all my lessons. And I might not have had the same experience as everyone else, you know, meeting all the gods, but I did see an arsehole the colour of a rainbow. And maybe that's the light that we see at the end of the tunnel, you know? You come in the front door, you go out the back door, I don't know. I don't know yet, but I was very grateful for my friend bringing me, and I thanked everyone, and I was like, you know, I feel really ready to go back to my fella and my family and my career. And then on the 17th of March, 2020, I got back my phone. And can you guess what the first notification I got was? A lockdown, a global pandemic. Thank you. You remember it. The rest of them have blocked it out. Like, no, I don't remember that. Sorry to bring it up again. We were all there. And I was like, right, I'm taking my lessons with this. I was like, thank you, Mother Nature. I do need 3 weeks off, you're right. And now I get to spend it with my boyfriend, who was in the car with me. He had collected me. And I was like, you know what, I better call my mum and dad to check in, see if they need anything. Do they need toilet paper? And I rang my dad, and he told me that while I was away, they had discovered that my mum had a brain tumour the size of a golf ball. And then my beautiful boyfriend of 7 months, he drove me home, dropped me off so I could be with my family, and he never answered the phone to me again. I haven't spoken to him since. I haven't spoken to my boyfriend for 3 years. If you haven't spoken to your boyfriend for 3 years, would you still be calling me your boyfriend? You know, because like he never broke up with me. So I have been cheating on him. I have. It's not nice, but I have. I had just spent 4 days lying on the earth, connecting to Mother Nature, and then I spent the next 3 months lying on my childhood bedroom floor, looking at the Lolly Lockets and Barbara. It was like the past 15 years of my life hadn't happened. Everything was gone in a flash. My career gone, laughter gone. And I was like, no, we really need laughter, especially in these moments. And I've obviously been very fascinated by laughter all my life. And I was kind of thinking at that time, I was like, what was the first time like humans ever laughed? Or the reason why, right? And scientists believe that the first time humans would have laughed is when a perceived threat is no longer a threat. Okay, so think about that. That's back in the hunter-gatherer times, which is also the name of my girls' WhatsApp group. And the hunter-gatherers are there and they're hunting and they're like, ugh, ugh. And they hear something in the bushes and they think it's a lion and they're scared and they're like, ugh, ugh, ugh. And then all of a sudden an antelope runs by and they're like, ha 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 ha, it's only an antelope, Anto, and you've after shot your fur. Because everyone knows the first people in the world are from Dublin city centre. They're on the boardwalk there. And I was lying on my bedroom floor and I was thinking to myself, what was the first time I ever laughed? And that was definitely as a child playing peekaboo. Because kids love that game. And it was definitely with my mum as a child. And like I hadn't seen my mum yet. We weren't allowed into the hospital. And I was like, that was the first time I ever laughed, playing peekaboo. And when you think about that, right, that's the exact same thing. It's when a perceived threat is no longer a threat. Because I'm there in the high chair. And my mum's there. And then all of a sudden she just ducks. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Am I on my own now for life? And then she just pops back up and I'm like, ha 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 ha. Don't do that again unless you're going to show me how to use the hob. And then I realised, right, I haven't just been playing peekaboo as a child. I've been playing that all through my 20s as well. Just not with my mum. It's with fellas. And it wasn't every 3 seconds they were checking in. It was about every 3 weeks I'd get a text like, hey, you good? And I'm like, ha, yeah, I'm so good. How are you? And I would get another text for 2 weeks. And then he's like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, oh, hey, I'm really busy. I'm not even looking at my phone. How are you? I don't get a text for another 3 weeks. And then he's like, hey, you free tonight? And I'm like, yeah, I'm free. Actually, no, I'm really busy. You need to stop doing this, especially after we sleep together. And then he stops peeking and just starts booing. Do we all know what ghosting is? Yeah? Okay, a couple of you. Some of you know what ghosting is. I did say that once at a gig and everyone was like, no. Now, to be fair, it was a nursing home. But I was like, Mary, do you remember when your fella went to war? And you were writing letters back and forth, and then one day the letters just stopped. And you thought he was dead. Wasn't that nice? Yeah, because you don't have Instagram to see he'd actually married a French woman. My friends were texting me during that time asking me if there was any signs my boyfriend was showing that he might just ghost me, and I was like, no, I thought we were really getting along, honestly. I mean, once I kind of said we need to be a bit more open and honest with each other, we need to be a bit more transparent, but I didn't mean that. So has anyone here been ghosted before? Yeah, okay, appreciate you coming forth. And done the ghosting as well? Yeah, see, this is the thing. No, it's totally fine. I've done it as well because it's very common these days, isn't it? It's very common in social media dating, millennial dating. Like, I ghosted one guy once and we hadn't actually met up yet, but it was just online. And then I got the ick because he told me his surname. I was like, it's not gonna work. But this was my first ever real experience of getting ghosted. And before that, I always thought that ghosts were friendly. Or a blue ghost was the first ecstasy tablet I ever took. Or ghosts were feathers that fell from the sky that people thought were their nans. Does anyone have a friend like that? My one friend freaks me out with it, right? We were in the park one day. We're having a lovely conversation when all of a sudden a dirty, mouldy, brown, wet feather falls from a pigeon's arse. And she's like, that's my nan. And I'm like, that's your nan? She's like, yeah, that's Nanny. She's with us now. It always freaks me out, so I was silent for a few minutes. And I just kind of sat there. And then all of a sudden I just see this kind of chocolate digestive wrapper roll on by. And I was like, that's my nan. That's my nan. Oh, she's not dead. She just lets the rubbish go everywhere. So my boyfriend wasn't answering his phone even though he knew it was a lockdown and my mum was sick and my mum's surgery got pushed back because of COVID. So she came home and then my brother came home. 4 adults living under one roof. Everyone stayed in their rooms. And at first, obviously, I was really worried about DC because it was a lockdown and mental health. But as the days went by with no reply from him, I did have to start refreshing RIP.ie. Canada, do you know what RIP.ie is? No, it's our death notices site in Ireland. I know, I had to check, do you know what I mean? What's your death notices site in Canada, do you know?
The newspaper.
The newspaper, old school, oh my God. You have to really miss people then, don't you? I love it. I did this show over in Edinburgh for a month, so the Scottish death notices site is called legacy.com. How nice is that? What legacy did you leave? In Ireland, it's RIP.ie. Sounds like a bargain basement website for like 2-for-1 coffins and a DIY embalming kit. And every day I was just refreshing the page, being like, oh my God, his name's not up there yet. And I was genuinely so worried at the time. I was so worried. I was like, something must be wrong. Something is obviously very wrong here because I could see that he was online. But obviously his phone was sitting in his kidnapper's hands. And I was looking at my phone looking for signs and I could see that he was popping online and offline and 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 online and offline. It was like watching breathing. It's like watching a waiter come out with food that's never yours. And when I finally had found out what had actually happened to him, it was way worse than I could ever imagined. It was way, way worse because he was fine. He was fucking fine. And this is what I hate about having phones. We have these little windows into people's lives. And I could see him there on his roommate's Instagram story, just sitting on the couch, looking happy. And in that moment, I knew what it must feel like to be a dog, right? When its owner puts it outside and it has to watch the people it loves through the window. What the fuck have I done to deserve this? Everything was fine 5 seconds ago. You were calling me a good boy. I know I ate the food off your plate, but I thought you were done. I was just pawing my phone like, hello. I'm sorry for being such a little bitch. And this is why I relate to dogs a lot in relationships, right? Because dogs are so loving, aren't they? They're so loving and they're so forgiving. If you open that door to that dog, they'll just come back in and be like, hello! You and me, back together again. I'm so sorry for what I did. I don't know what it was, but it doesn't matter because here we are, back together again. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Yes, love you. So in my next relationship, I think I need to act a bit more like a cat. And I need to be just like, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. I don't need you. I just like having someone kind of breathing close to me. But fuck you. I don't need you. I can lick myself. I think I learned during that time why we have so much emigration in Ireland. Because men don't have the emotional capacity to break up with you. So they just emigrate. And I was lying on my bedroom floor for so long. I was unsure of what day it was. There was something bigger happening in the world, but I couldn't comprehend it. And I was just looking around my room and I could see my journals, my crystals. And I was like, the only thing that could improve this situation even slightly is if those crystals were meth. And I text everyone that I went on that retreat with and I was like, is anyone still having a really bad trip? And I didn't know what to do with myself because I was back home. I lived in London. All of my things, everything I owned was over in London. All my broomsticks were over in London. I didn't know what to do with myself. So I just kept messaging him. I kept messaging him. I sent him so many messages, but I only rang him 6 times. I only rang him 6 times. I said, no, I am better than that. That is all I'm going to call him for today. And then I got a different phone. It's nice to know he wasn't responding to his GP either. I left a message. We can confirm you have tested positive for multiple STDs. Please call all your previous partners, starting with the most recent. He never called. Probably blames me for giving him multiple STDs. Again. I sent so many messages. Like one after the other, after the other, after the other. I was like one of those creepy guys who's in a girl's DMs talking to themselves. So many messages. One week I looked back and a message said, hey, how are you? I'm fine. Mum's doing well. Nobody asked. I was more desperado than the beer. I sent so many messages. I never wished to be an email more in my life. I was like, unsubscribe to me! And then I compiled a message like that. I composed a message. I was like, if you do not wish to receive these messages anymore, please click unsubscribe here. Oh, I'm sorry to see you go. What were the reasons? Was the content of my chat irrelevant? Were you not aware you had subscribed to me? Did you think my last nude was spam? Has anyone ever been in a relationship before that they were dating the person and the other person wasn't aware they had subscribed to it? That happened to me once, right? I was dating this guy and he turned around to me and he was like, oh, I wasn't aware we were a thing. And I was living with him. I think there's a way better phrase for it these days. It's actually gone into the dictionary. It's called breadcrumbing, right? And breadcrumbing is a phrase for millennial dating. It's just when someone kind of leave out little bits of bread, just a little bit of bread, just to keep you there, just a little message or two, you know, just to keep you there, just to keep you around. There you go. That's for you. But they never have any intention of pursuing anything real with you, right? And that's been my dating life, my whole life, because I'm like, is that fucking bread? Oh my God, no way! It's my lucky day, wow, oh my God. Is that another piece? No, that's too much, I can't be doing that. Oh no. Oh, my mother says I shouldn't, but it just feels so good. Oh my God, a crouton, that is far too much for me. No, this is so nice. I am not worthy, thank you so much. Thank you so much, and I just keep going because I fucking love bread. And I never got any response. And I just wanted something. I would have taken anything. I would have taken that emoji of the girl who just goes, you know her? I would have taken anything. And I'm very aware now, I realise now that he just did not know what to say in that situation. But I wish I even got a text that just said, fuck off, Anna. Be a kid. And I went on the Zoom therapy with the therapist there, and she was talking to me, and she was like, look at it this way, Anna, right? You can take what lessons you have learned from this relationship and take it into your next. And I was like, God, yeah, I can, can't I? Oh, God, yeah, and I love learning lessons. That's a good one. Yeah, oh, God, Jesus, when do I get to graduate? And I just shut the Zoom and lit some incense. And Barbara was looking at me like, who hurt you? There's been a real shrinkflation in the respectful breakup, hasn't there? It's really gone down in scale over the years of how to do a respectful breakup, right? Because remember when we first all got phones and someone got dumped over text? That was a pretty big deal. They'd be like, oh my God, he dumped me over text. And I'd be like, what? That is so rude and disrespectful. He should have done it to your face. And nowadays when someone's like, oh my God, he dumped me. I'm like, what? Like he actually broke up with you. Amazing, way to go. I'm so delighted for you. Like I hopefully will get married one day and I'll still technically be seeing 14 people. And a Deliveroo driver that just never showed up. I still think about him. I've been picked second over men's drug habits, ex-girlfriends, friends groups and careers. And every time that's ever happened to me, I've always been like, but he's a great guy. Because I just love holding on to things that I really like about people, and I do that for everyone. I hold on to these things that I really like about people, and I was doing that with him. I was holding on to his jumper and his Tesco club card. And he never wanted them back. And I was running around my house being like, I'm losing my mind. And my mum just looks at me and goes, hey. And I was like, oh, sorry. I couldn't communicate what was happening to me, to my parents, right? Because this guy wasn't communicating to me. And I didn't want to let my friends or my family know what was going on because I wanted everyone to think the person that I was seeing was deadly. And my mum never felt no pain. She never felt no pain. Imagine that. Big, fat, fucking tumour sitting on your brain being all threatening and all. No pain. Heartache doesn't show up in a scan, but evidence can be found in your Spotify playlists or online shopping orders. And I didn't realise that a weekend home in Dublin would mean 3 years living with my mum and dad. And something happens to you when you go home to your childhood home, doesn't it? No matter what age you are, something happens. You just turn into your teenage self again, don't you? I was like, I was smothering myself in fake tan. My dad was like, we're not going anywhere. And I was like, it's for the postman. So upstairs in my bedroom window, like. And I didn't want my mum to die. I did not want my mum to die because then she would literally be ghosting me as well. Okay, there's your boyfriend ghosting you, but can you imagine your ma being a ghost? Like, we've all heard of a scary ghost, right? But have you ever heard of a ghost that does not shut the fuck up? My ma being able to finally walk through walls, just finishing a story she started 3 days ago. Seeing the mugs and being like, ah! But life-threatening surgery is very scary, and in the build-up to it, we were really chatting and we were really bonding, and one night we were sharing memories, and I was like kind of oversharing. I was telling her stuff that I would never, ever tell a soul. And I was like, at one point, I was like, Ma'am, I actually think that I've told you too much. And she was like, no, this is great. And I was like, yeah, but what if you live? Obviously, I'm delighted to say that my mum did get to finally have her surgery, and we went back there recently for a full brain scan, and the doctor confirmed there's nothing there. Thank you. I was like, I could have told you that, Doc. Oh, fair. But honestly, we are so grateful for the Beaumont Hospital and the neuro department. They are really incredible at what they can do. Like modern science, there's a lot to be said for it. There really is, because I went into a forest to try and fix my head. But they can actually fix your head in there. And before she was going in, I was like, do you know what, Doc? Like, do you know when you're in there, do you think we could fix a few other things? Because she cooks pasta for an hour and a half. Can we get that down to the recommended time? And you know, like 3 emojis should be the most amount of emojis you put in a text. But they're not that advanced yet. I think they'll get there. They did take her driver's license off her for a year. And I was like, great, keep it. But my mum's brain tumour was a lion that turned into an antelope. And me, my dad, and my brother, we all shot her for her. And one of my mum's favourite memories that she shared with me when at that time was, she said that when I was younger, I once woke her up and I told her that she was the most beautifulest thing I never saw. Isn't that so cute? Now, I was 2. It wasn't 2 a.m. with a kebab. I said, you're the most beautifulest thing I never saw. And I think about that, right? That is so true. That is still so true, because I've never seen my mum properly, right? And if you're lucky enough to have a really good parent, you don't see the scale of the things that they do for you. Because my mum is the deadliest person I know, even though I've never seen her, because she's behind me every step of the way, picking up all the crystals and picking me up after all the shitty men. And she's this actual witch, right? Because she has this magical power of always knowing what I'm thinking by reading my journals. And she's going to hate that I put her in this show at all. She really is. She's going to be like, Scarlet for your ma for having you. But it would be too weird not to mention that part of those 4 days that turned into 3 years. And not knowing what happens after you die, or if your mum is going to die, or why a relationship died. Not knowing can be torture, or it can be freeing. And what I went looking from lessons from Mother Nature, I actually ended up learning them from my own mum. Because my mum does know everything. Because she admits to knowing nothing. And she's with me every step of the way, right up until this very day, right behind me when I was like, Mum, I'm recording my show tonight and I don't think it's ready. And she was like, love, you will never be ready. You've just got to get out of my house for a few hours, please. Stay the night, have a drink, go back to a mate's, meet a fella I don't know, get out of my house. It's been so long. But like I said, in the build-up to that kind of surgery, it is quite scary. You don't know if you're going to see that person again. So I was like, should I have a speech prepared? Should I say something? Write a letter? But like nothing was coming to me. It was like kind of blank. And then I remembered in primary school, we had to do this project where you wrote a letter to someone who had passed. But I'd never had anyone pass before. Maybe pass out, but not, you know. So I just pretended that my mum was in heaven and wrote her a letter. So I was like, I have that just in case I need it. So I'm just going to read you that now, if you don't mind. Dear Mum, don't worry about the mean things you've said to me. I will name my puppy after you, because when you're dead, we can get a puppy. Things I love about you. Dinners. When you take us out for dinners, I love those dinners. No more dancing for you and Dad, but don't worry, we'll keep Daddy happy because I am going to marry him. I know he doesn't have much money, but he does have multiple bricks. I hope you're enjoying heaven with all the gods and energy balls. You say you're not religious, but I've often heard you and Dad praying at night. You always say, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. You will probably miss praying with Daddy. One day I wanted to join you and I couldn't get in, so I looked in the window and it seems that you were doing a Muslim prayer while he was remaining Catholic. I hope you have friends to pray with in heaven. My brother was going to write a letter, but he's playing Nintendo because you're not here. Got to go because we ordered takeaway for once. Bye! And thank God I didn't have to give her that, but I did get her a bottle of Prosecco and tickets to Magic Mike because she's a real hero. And when everything finally settled, after the first lockdown and we got out, I met my friend for a socially distanced walk. And I said to her, I was like, you know what? I'm still so grateful for you bringing me on that retreat because you brought me home at the exact right time. And then a bird shat in my head. And I was like, is that your nan? She was like, yeah, she was incontinent in the end. Guys, you've been so lovely. That's my show, Accidentally People. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I really do. And I have to say a massive thank you to my mom who's come for the second night in a row. She does hate the spotlight, but there she is. I love you. And I love my friend who brought me on the retreat. I'm my own worst enemy, like you wouldn't know yourself. Yourself. Don't let me get me. I'm my own worst enemy. Mm-hmm.